Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to discuss various methods for eliciting information from the users and negotiating an agreement with the client. So these methods are joint application development or design, maintaining traceability, and documenting requirement elicitation. After that we will discuss that what you have to do with arena case study. So joint application design, it is also known as joint application development. uh, it is a method developed at IBM in 1970s. So it is used for requirement elicitation. It is group oriented. So in this, the requirement elicitation work is done in one single workshop session in which all stakeholders participate and share viewpoints. The stakeholders can be users, clients, developers, and trained session leader who sit together in one room to present their viewpoints, listen to other viewpoints, negotiate, and come to a mutually acceptable solution. The outcome of the workshop, the final JAD document, is a complete requirement specification document that includes definitions of data elements, workflows, and interface screens. So it is known for the fast progress in the development, and the client approval rate is also better than lots of other models, as clients are part of the workshop session in it. So activities of JAD represented by UML activity diagram. So the main activity in JAD is the session activity, during which all stakeholders design and agree to a requirement specification. So the activities prior to session maximizes its efficiency. So basically the JAD is composed of 5 activities. First activity is project definition. In this activity, the JAD facilitator interviews project manager and client to determine objective and scope of the project. Basically the outcome of this is management definition guide. So in this, the objective and scope of the project is determined, and output of it is a management definition guide. Then the research activity. In this activity, the JAD facilitator interviews present and future users, gathers information about the application domain, and describes a high level of use cases. The JAD facilitator also starts a list of problems to be addressed during the session. So the result of this activity is the session agenda, that what are the points the team is going to discuss in the session workshop, and a preliminary specification listing workflow and system information. After that is the preparation activity. So in this activity, basically the JAD facilitator prepares the session. He creates a working document, which is, you can say, a first draft of the final document. First draft of the final document is created in this activity, and any information gathered during research activity is represented using flowcharts, etc., to be discussed in session activity. So the team is also finalized and selected in this preparation activity, and all stakeholders are represented and the participants are able to make binding decisions. After that, the main activity of the JAD, which is session activity. So during this activity, the JAD facilitator, who is the main person in this JAD, facilitates and guides the team in creating the requirement specification. So it lasts for 3 to 5 days. The team defines and agrees on scenarios, use cases, and user interfaces. So all decisions are documented in scribe forms. Then the final document preparation activity. So in this, the JAD facilitator prepares the final document, revising which is a revision of the working document, to include all decisions made during the session. So the final document represents a complete specification of the system agreed on during the session. So then the final document is distributed to the participants for review. They then again attend a 1 to 2 hour review meeting to discuss and finalize the document. So these are the activities of JAD represented with UML activity diagram, in which the main activity is session activity, and the activities prior to session maximizes its efficiency. So project definition, JAD is composed of 5 activities. Project definition, we discussed it before. The outcome of it is management definition. Then the research activity conducted by JAD facilitator. In this, high level use cases are identified and list of problems that will be addressed in the session activity. Outcome will be session agenda and preliminary specification. After that, preparation activity, in which the JAD facilitator prepares the session. A working document is created, which is the initial version of the final document, and team is selected who will participate in the session activity. Then the main activity session, it lasts 3 to 5 days, and during this activity, team defines and agrees on scenarios, use cases, and user interface mockups, and all decisions are documented in Scribe. After that, the final document preparation activity, in which the final document is prepared, which is you can say updated version of the working document. And then the review meeting is conducted, which lasts for 1 to 2 hours to finalize the document. Then the JAD summary. So JAD basically improve communication among participants and helps in developing consensus. So at the end of JAD session, developers are more knowledgeable of user needs, and users are more knowledgeable of development trade-offs. So, but you can say the disadvantage of it is that the overall JAD process and the JAD session depends highly on the qualification or experience of the JAD facilitator, as he is the main person in this whole process. So next is maintaining traceability. So traceability is the ability to follow the life of a requirement. This includes tracing where the requirement came from, means who initiated the requirement, to which aspects of the system and the project it affects. So traceability enables developers to show that the system is complete, testers to show that the system complies with its requirements. So, designers to record the rationale behind the system. So, the most common way of ensuring that there is a full requirement traceability is by using requirement traceability metrics. So there are various kinds of requirement traceability metrics. One is forward traceability. So this refers to the need to document the associations between the functional and system requirements and the various artifacts created during the design, development, and testing of the system. So it basically maps the functional and system requirements to the various artifacts created during design, development, and testing. So for this, each individual element, requirement, class, operation, test case is identified, must be identified by a unique number. Next is backward or reverse traceability. So this refers to the need to document the lineage and source of all the requirements. So, for example, system or functional requirement, who is the source of this requirement, from where it is originated, what is the source, what is the stakeholder of the requirement, and as a result of which elicitation activity this requirement is originated. So basically, basically maintaining traceability helps tracing the requirement back and forth. So so for small projects, tool support for requirement traceability can be simple. Like you can use spreadsheet or word processing tool, but for large scale projects, specialized database tools can be used to maintain the traceability information. So next is documenting requirement elicitation. So the result of the requirement elicitation and analysis activities are documented in the requirement analysis document. So this document completely describes the system, functional and non-functional requirements, and serves as a contract between client and developer. So it is divided into following sections. In the introduction section, as you are already familiar with this document, but let me explain in brief. So in the introduction section, the purpose is to provide a brief overview of the system, of the functions of the system and reasons for its development, its scope and references are given here. So the second is the current system. So it describes the current state of affairs. If the new system is replacing existing system, the section describes the functionality and problems of the current system. The of the system which is going to be replaced. Otherwise, it describes the task supported by the new system. Then the proposed system. It documents the requirement elicitation and the analysis model of the new system. It is divided into 4 sections. First is the it is divided into 4 sections. So first is the overview. So it presents a functional overview on the whole, what are the functional requirements. Then the functional requirement, it describes the high level functionality. Non-functional, it describes user level requirements that are not related to functional requirements. Then the system models, here you describe the scenarios, object model, use case model, and dynamic models like sequence diagram and state diagram. So the RAD should be written after the use case model is stable. So the requirements are updated. However, the requirements are updated throughout the development process. So the RAD once published, and if some changes occur, the revision history section of the RAD will provide a history of changes, including the author responsible for each change, the date of the change, and the brief description of the change. So next is the arena case study. So now you have to apply the concepts and methods we have already discussed in lecture to the arena case study. That you have to identify actors, scenarios, use cases, refine them, identify non-functional requirements in this case study. This is all for today's lecture. Thank you.